What's going on, everybody? It is your boy Zamboni. I'm a musician and astrologer, and it is time to talk about the astrology of the week ahead. As always, thank you so very much for being here. Thank you for hitting up my Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, sending me a tip whenever you can. I super appreciate everybody who does that. If you find this content helpful, I super appreciate you doing that. If you want an electional report to help you decide what time is a good time to launch your product or to go on your first date or something like this, or times to avoid doing those things as well, you can find me on Patreon and get that. That comes out every month. We can do, there's a bunch of music. You can go to Spotify, Tidal, Pandora, Apple Music, wherever you like to get your music at, and listen. There's a brand new album that just came out this week. I'm super hype about it. I think it's dope. I am so proud. I'm so proud. 2023 is the year of releasing tunes for me, and I have made 10 new songs since the beginning of this year, and I'm super proud. So if you would go and listen to that, I would be delighted. I would just be delighted if you would do that. There are lots of other ways to support. You can get a reading, etc., etc. Let's talk about the astrology of the week ahead. So this week we have this. It feels like Mars week to me in a lot of ways. So we're in between eclipses right now, right? So we just had a week ago, we had a solar eclipse in Libra, and now we are moving toward a full moon lunar eclipse in Taurus. Now, I said it was Mars week. Both of those signs are Venus signs. So we do have eclipses, Venus eclipses that want to take place here. And so because they're Venus eclipses, then we might see them being sort of like related to the Venus retrograde that happened over the summer here, or we might be thinking about questions around like togetherness or cooperation or harmony or teamwork or something like this, right? The Venus is very strongly concerned with relationships with other people, and so we can definitely expect that sort of thing to come up a lot. I will return to this Taurus eclipse in a minute here, but it's worth noting that Mars is now in Scorpio, and Mars is at home in Scorpio. Scorpio is opposite to Taurus. And so when we get this full moon lunar eclipse, part of what a lunar eclipse is a full moon, and part of what a full moon is an opposition between the sun, which is now in Scorpio, and or will be in Scorpio by the end of the week, and then Taurus, which is opposite to Scorpio, and so the moon will be in Taurus. And so that polarity is an important piece of the full moon generally, and a lunar eclipse as well, right? And so we've got Mars in Scorpio. We will have the sun moving into Scorpio. Shout out to all my Scorpio people. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. So we've got those two planets in Scorpio. We've also got Mercury moving into Scorpio. Now, so whenever we see a planet that gets too close to the sun, then it goes under the beams of the sun and it's combust, and so it stops being quite as powerful or strong or able to do its thing in the way that it would like to, because there's like some static in the signal. That's a typical way to read planets that are under the beams of the sun. It's the reason why the idea is that you can't see that planet, right? It's the reason why you can't see the stars like the sun is currently in Scorpio, and so you can't see Scorpio in the sky right now because Scorpio is a constellation, right? And you can't see that because the sun outshines that. When Scorpio's up in the daytime, and so it's too bright, right? So that's basically how that goes. But Mars in Scorpio is in its own domicile, and so this is it's said to be in its own chariot. And so this looks more actually like Mars sort of gets to suck up all of the energy of whatever other planets are there in Scorpio. So we've got Mercury there, and we've got the sun there. I personally like the sun in Scorpio. I think that's a strong placement. Scorpio is very good for like being fixed and sure and constant and true. And there's like a kind of brutality to that truth or to that honesty, but the sun in many ways can be brutal, right? There's like, you can die of exposure and stuff like this, right? So like the sun is okay with that kind of raw strength, and Mars looks like it can very well soak up that energy and take that solar power and do the Mars things with it. This looks like a very strong week for Marsing, for doing the Mars things. We can also notice that Mars in Scorpio is approaching an opposition to Jupiter there in Taurus. So, you know, an opposition to Jupiter looks like, you know, Jupiter tends to want to help. Jupiter is a benefic. It wants to improve things. It wants to make things better, or expand things in some kind of way. And especially in Taurus, in an earth sign, it wants to sort of make things practical or feasible or something like this. So Mars in an opposition is frequently some kind of like tense or like conflicting kind of aspect. There might be some kind of like difficulty associated with it. And so a difficulty associated with Jupiter often looks like you got to get over a hump in order to reap rewards or something like this, right? And so Mars in Scorpio, Mars loves getting over a hump. Like if Mars doesn't have a hump to try to get over, then Mars will typically destroy things and like will make problems for stuff, right? It's the classic image that I use all the time is the German Shepherd who is left alone during the daytime while you're at work, and it's just like, I don't know what to do with all this energy, so I'm gonna fuck some shit up. I'm gonna tear up furniture and stuff like this, right? That's what Mars is like. And so for Mars to have a hump to get over, and not only a hump to get over, but on the other side of the hump, there's like a pot of gold, or there's at the end of the rainbow or whatever, right? There's some kind of reward or good situation that can happen if you get over the hump. This looks very strong for Marsing and for doing the Mars thing. So when we think about Mars, we can think about action, we can think about warring, we can think about, you know, like, so if you live in Gaza right now, you probably don't want more Mars, right? More Mars is what you get, but you know, like, so that it's very good for fighting. This is a very strong fighting energy. I don't have that many followers in Gaza. Probably no one is hearing that or gives a shit what I think. I love that. I love that they don't give a shit what I think in that area of the world. But a lot of people do follow me in like New York and this kind of area, right? And so in this sort of environment, then it's seeing this much Mars, and Mars in Scorpio, right? Scorpio associated with the scorpion, it's got a needle associated or attached to its body, right? So like there's this sense of like precision, of focus, of clarity. Now this I think is really important in the moment of a Taurus eclipse, because Taurus is ruled by Venus. Venus is in Virgo right now. Virgo is very well associated with details and the little things that need to be done in order to make something possible. There's like a strong planning component to Virgo and this kind of thing, right? I always talk about Venus and Virgo as being like caring deeply about the flaws in some kind of situation, and like noticing where there's a problem and being like kind of outwardly vocal about that. Very good for quality control or something like this, right? And so this is a very good moment to focus in your Marsing, whatever that is. So if you've got a fight that you need to have, or if you've got a hump that you need to get over, this is good for exercising and athleticism. This is really good for wrestling, and that could be like maybe in some kind of debate sort of situation or something like this. We can notice that Mercury is also there in Scorpio, lending Mercury's talent to the Mars thing. Mercury's job is to communicate and to make ideas intelligible. And so to take ideas and make them intelligible in the service of military victory or in the service of Marsing in some kind of way. Looks like a really strong moment for really heading into the situation, especially since we can see that this lunar eclipse in Taurus, this is the last one of those that we're going to have in Taurus. We've had this, they've been going on for like 2 years, and this is sort of a big moment as far as the Taurus eclipses are concerned. To see that it's right there with Jupiter, it looks a little bit like it wants to kind of like tie a bow up on it. Like you've been doing this Taurus thing for a while, north noding in Taurus, maybe like getting super into whatever's going on there in Taurus. And then that had that overcoming square from Venus retrograde in Leo all year. And then, so there's like a lot of stuff going on there. And this looks like a final push in order to get over that hump and move toward the rewards that might be on the other side there. So this is a really good week. Seeing all this Scorpio energy, one of the things that I really love about Scorpio energy is that it's relentless. It just keeps on going. It doesn't, like, it's relentless in the way that a river is relentless. It just continues, it rushes all the time. That's what this does, right? And so to see big Scorpio energy here, and Mars here in Scorpio, and the Sun here in Scorpio, looks like there's a lot of this verve and drive to accomplish things. And so if you can keep your eye on the prize, if you can keep your eye set on something that matters to you, then you can probably get it this week. I'm out of time.